Hello, my friend, and welcome to today's episode. This is episode number 137, I suppose. And we are in week 12 of my weight loss journey. I had given myself end of this year. So I'm moving forward but this week I don't have good news. I have bad news. But then at the same time, we're going to evaluate everything. So instead of losing weight, I've gained some weight. So last week I was 51.9 or 51.7, I don't know. But this week I'm 52.3. So let me just check. How much was I last week? See how that's why I'm keeping this, yeah, 51.9. I had gone to 51.7 before. So that's like my brain remembers that number, but I was 51.9 last Wednesday and today 52.3. So why that happened? Um, well, I didn't really follow my plan this week, and it was lots of cravings. There was some rice, and overall, like emotional turmoil. So I'm going to talk about that in depth in today's episode. And at the same time, understand that this is a journey. It's not supposed to be like we need to see weight loss every week. Some days we are going to gain weight. And I'm actually premenstrual. So the cravings are just going to increase. So as a physician, I know I become more insulin resistant in second half of my period. That's because I'm probably ovulating. That just happens. But suppose if I was not ovulating, even then cravings happen because our brain remembers. And any one of us who has weight gain issues, weight loss issues, who tend to gain weight more, our brain is going to automatically connect any sort of emotional issues with food because that's our coping mechanisms. We don't smoke, we don't drink, we don't do other things which other people do, we eat, right? So let's see. Let's start with, I'm going to break this episode between like what were my last week's suggestions? Did I follow them? What worked in this week? What didn't work? And what I'll do differently next week. And also like check on the upcoming obstacles. And this is something which I really wish if I could do for all my clients. But the time constraint is such that we meet each other like every week, but I want you to learn how I do this, right? Like, what were the suggestions last week? What worked this week? Was I able to follow those suggestions? Then what worked, what didn't work, and what I'll do differently, and what are the upcoming obstacles? Once you cover these areas, generally, you are sort of cleaning up your brain and still understand things might present differently completely that you are not prepared for, or you might still revert back to old habits in spite of cleaning your mind. But the more you keep cleaning, the more the brain learns that okay, we are interested in this new thing that we are after, and we are not giving up. So as long as you don't give up and don't judge yourself, keep cleaning your mind, keep moving forward, inch by inch, you will get to your health goal. And if you're doing the process which I teach, trust me, the brain remembers because brain is listening. This is not like just going to the gym and like hiring a dietitian and losing the weight for a wedding or something. This is not that kind of work. This is something which you are using your brain and actively trying to understand things. So you evolve, you change your neural circuits. So last week's suggestion, I had suggested to have my very less spicy peanuts, but mainly other roasted nuts. And I did follow this suggestion. I did have lesser spicy peanuts, except on some days when I ate them emotionally. That has been happening. The nighttime cravings are coming back. So the spicy peanuts during my meal times has reduced the bowl. So I used to just have a lot of spicy peanuts. Instead of that, now I'm having a mix of not spicy peanuts. I'm having almonds, soaked almonds sometimes, and walnuts. Now, the second suggestion was if there are cravings, do the craving worksheet or put a 10-minute timer for it to pass. I completely forgot to do this because cravings are like so unconscious and so they come so fast. It's the hallmark of emotional eating. So, um, that just like bypassed. Like I completely forgot about this suggestion that I had given myself that do the cravings worksheet or do a 10-minute time or allow it to pass. But this week, like I found like my cravings are at nighttime, and I'm going to talk about how I'm going to solve for that. Apart from that, the next suggestion was write down in food journal right after eating or while eating. And this I've been doing. Remember, I had made this sort of physical workbook. So I have entered in this journal almost like I have clubbed my day to day planning activity and my food journal in one place. And I've been doing that. I've been enjoying that, except for one day, Saturday I missed, but I entered in on most days. Other than that, the thing which I said was to listen to my podcast somewhere in the week so I remember my next week's plan. So I heard my podcast where I was about to upload. I just had to caption it. So I heard it, but I didn't really hear it again. I started listening to it and then I forgot. So again, the brain will just forget these things. Biscuits are a strict no. This was a suggestion. If you're craving, meditate, nap, sleep, or do a worksheet. So I didn't have any biscuits, but there were some moments of that sort of overlap, right? And it happened at night. So, I mean, I couldn't really meditate, nap, or sleep because it's nighttime, but I didn't even sleep. I ate instead. And the worksheet I didn't do because, of course, I'm tired at night. So I need to find another strategy, and I'm going to talk about that strategy. Regarding alcohol, remember to not have it primarily. But if I have it, then to remember to measure it and have only 30 ml. So I had alcohol, and but I remember to measure it, and I had only once, and I remember to measure it, and I had it with Sprite Zero. I didn't have any sort of juices. I had an urge to have it on the Sunday night, but I didn't have it, so I could like manage my mind around that. Apart from that, the next thing was like catch your creative brain, avoiding the weight loss work by having foods which are out of PCOS menu. And this one, again, unconsciously, I ordered some rice, which I ended up having on Friday and then Sunday and then Monday. And that just like led to cravings at night time. Then the thing, so I couldn't do that. Then regarding daughters snacking on daughter's food, like if there are any leftovers of her food, I my plan was to not snack or keep it in the fridge or just throw it off or ask her to eat it. So I didn't snack on her leftovers, and she had most of her foods, so I didn't have to snack over her food. Um, when So my plan again last time was like when you go grocery shopping, don't get any new stuff, especially sweet stuff. And limit your sweet stuff to one fruit a day and wean off from my Canderel, the sweetener, in tea and coffee. So instead of sweet stuff, this time I got actually cheese balls and kurkure and bakarwadi, which are all not sweet, spicy or salty snacks. But I didn't. I did taper off the Canderel, so I have reduced that significantly. Instead of having two of those tablets, I'm having one. So that's a win. Um, Now, apart from that, what else worked this week was like I snacked lesser on peanuts, didn't snack on biscuits, didn't drink alcohol, made just enough food for my daughter, entered in my food journal almost every day. And another thing that worked was like I didn't get the flu, which I was thinking I'm gonna get last Wednesday when the weather changed. It was just a weather change, and same for my daughter. She also didn't get sick. It's just our allergies flared up a little bit. I had the headache, and then it went off once the weather improved. So, get curious about these things for you as well. Like if you don't get fever, cough, cold, nose fever, and all that, like it might just be weather. And if you limit your carbohydrate intake, you might not suffer so much. So that was like a good revelation. My nose has been amazing. I was still finishing whatever remaining anchovies and sardines for dinner. No bites in the mouth, so that was good. No ulcers in my mouth. Apart from that, I explored another new place. We went to this national aquarium in Abu Dhabi, and it was nice. I saw some extra fishes. I saw a puffer fish for the first time. I saw a manatee, which I'd never seen. I thought it was a magical creature, and I finally saw it. I was like, oh, it's not a magical creature, it's a real thing. I also saw a capybara. I'd never seen one. So I got these new experiences, and like there was an opportunity to eat something in this place because my husband and my kid had the ice cream, gelato ice cream over there, and I didn't have it because it had dairy. And sugar was like in my brain, sugar is better than dairy because dairy really impacts my ability to breathe, and I don't want that. So I could say no to the ice cream even when I love it. I love ice cream, but I can't have it because of this nose problem, and I didn't have it. Instead, I had a cup of coffee with soy milk, but they didn't have any sweetener, so I had it with sugar. So next time I might just carry my sweetener. I've been carrying my sweetener in case I have to put it in any, like I don't want to use their sweetener so that I know what I'm using. So even that, like this time when I went, I think we went to Paul's for lunch on Saturday, and I put my sweetener and it didn't taste that good. So I might just like not have the sweetener because I like the taste of tea and coffee, not tea, but coffee without any sort of sweetness. That's a required taste. I am okay with that. Now, on Friday, I I could have some of that. I had a burrito bowl. We ordered that one which had rice in it, but it also had some sour cream, and I had tiramisu also on that day, and a pistachio pudding, which all of those items have dairy, but nothing happened to my nose. Like, I think on Friday I took one time nose spray, but nothing like progressed because I didn't keep having more of dairy, or I don't know. I just was okay. Like nothing happened. My nose was fine. Now, so I have to remember these things. Like me just saying this out loud is sort of like my brain is registering this as information. Now, what did not work? When I was coming home on Friday after the aquarium, we I knew that's my weekend is starting, and it's time to party and celebrate. It's time to drink a little alcohol and have something restaurant based or like some snacks. And I went to the grocery shop in order to get the Sprite Zero. And then I got that kurkure, cheese balls, my daughter's chocolate, and some Indian snack, bhakar buddy. And I just was like swaying away with this. Like I was like, I'm just gonna become unconscious with this sort of eating. And this is a pattern I have. This is another weekend pattern. So if it's not the weekend eating out pattern, but there is also a grocery shop pattern where I go to the grocery shop and I'll start buying all sort of snacks, unhealthy junk food. And if I am having guests over, then to forget about it. I'll like bring so much of it, and the guests are not gonna eat all of that, and then I'll keep eating on all of that slowly, slowly. So I need to figure out a solution for this. This is another weekend pattern I have. And so the solution could look like either get healthier snacking options. So that spicy peanuts was one of them. I don't like spicy cashews. I don't know why. I just don't. But like instead of, so I would have to search for some healthier options. But suppose if I have to get something, then I might consider getting smaller packs. Now, all the three items that I got, there were no smaller packs. Like for cheese balls, maybe I could have found a smaller pack, but the other items, no smaller pack. So the other option, if no smaller pack, then I just get one of that, and we can like really enjoy that, and that's it. It's over on Friday. don't get too much and finish it on Friday, but just like get one and finish that on Friday. So that is something which I might do. Um, Now this sort of behavior, like someone might think that, she's just crazy. Like, how much will she obsess over food? But the thing is, we all are obsessing over food. And for me, um, I can eat whatever I want. Like if I just decide, like, no, really, you can eat whatever you want. I've been there. And like my first job in Dubai and second job in Dubai, I had no stress and I really allowed myself to eat whatever I want. And I gained a lot of weight, a lot of weight. I gained 22 kilos right away just by allowing myself to do whatever I want. And that's something which is not acceptable for my brain because the temptations around are just too much. You cannot, like, how, like, imagine like my child, the only thing she wants is screen and she wants something sweet, sugary, candy, chocolate. Our brains are like that. There are children in our brain, like our emotional inner child. She wants amazing tasting stuff and like she doesn't want to think about anything. We can't have that. Especially PCOS women, especially those who have pre-diabetes, those who are overweight. You can't have that because otherwise that's more doctors, right? More medications, more treatment, like sickness. Forget about death. It's just like that death is not going to come fast. It's going to come with all sort of illnesses, needles, pokes, and all of that. I don't want any of that. Now, if you look at if we are avoiding certain foods, it should be easy to just avoid it, right? Like if I decide that, okay, I'm just going to eat healthy food and I might order it from a healthy place, I don't even have to cook it, my brain will not like that. It will be like, okay, that place is really shitty. They don't know how to make food. My brain will go and check out unconsciously and it will want more of snacks, some chips and some candies and something sweet. But this is because there is emotional dependence on food items which are like not natural. We are not like slacking on fruits and carrots. We are snacking on these packaged stuff. These stuff are designed so that we keep having more of it, right? Think about it. The Lay's logo can't just have one, something like that, right? If you, it's there is emotional dependence, psychological dependence on these food items. Think about someone who is trying to give up smoking, and if they go to a grocery shop and they just decide to get one or two packs. If you're trying to give up smoking, why would you buy it? Right. So that's the same thing I have to ask myself. If you're trying to like be healthy, why would you buy this sort of snack? Like why? There are no guests coming over. Why would you buy these snacks? So I have to ask myself that. And like someone might someone who's trying to give up smoking, they might be like, no, I might get bloated and on those days I would want some relief and cigarette is something which is going to help me get that relief. But then there are other options to deal with bloating. Like what about those people who don't smoke? How do they deal with bloating? So you have to question every action that you're taking, especially if it's not in alignment, especially if you feel guilty and shameful around it. You need to question it, right? So for someone who is trying to give up smoking, you need to draw a boundary around like no smokes. Don't go out anyone with anyone. Don't hang out with people who smoke, who will remind you to smoke. Don't go and do those things which used to connect with smoking. So like basically draw boundaries around it. Similarly, I'm drawing boundary around this sort of snacking items. So I need to draw a boundary around myself and buying these snacks because that's a slippery slope. Like we suddenly become unconscious and revert back to old patterns. So I might snack on them maybe once a week, or I might allow myself, but I have to be doing that consciously. Or I have an option to be not have it ever, right? Can I have a life where I no longer snack on these sort of packaged goods? Something interesting, right? Like there was a time when I transitioned from white bread to brown bread, and I just couldn't have white bread. And then I was having brown bread, and now I barely have bread. It's just the taste of white bread in my mouth is like I'm eating raw dough. So taste changes. I never used to have black coffee, and then now I can easily have black coffee. So taste changes depending on. So now we are no longer that child who needs to be comforted with food. We are adults, and we can handle adult eating. We don't have to be like children when it comes to eating. So that is one big thing around my pattern around grocery shopping. Now, also, another thing is when I order food for me on this Friday, like I just completely forgot that rice was not on my protocol. Like I was not having rice, and rice came in and I couldn't finish all of it. So I was having little, little every day. So maybe next Friday, I would have to remember that I have to stick to my protocol of like no bread, no flour, no rice, no dairies, just like some rice and some veggies and some meat. For Saturday lunch, we went to Paul's and I had their chicken club sandwich with bread, butter, and some olive paste and some French fries. And all of that, okay, no problem. Bread, I'm okay with it. Little bread because I was gonna walk around a lot, way more than what I do normally. But I ordered a dessert, hazelnut bread pudding, and it was a bit too much. And but I still finished it. But the custard in that pudding, I think it had some dairy which didn't suit me, and I had loose motions immediately by the time I reached home. So next time I might ask these people like, does it have dairy in it? Because they would know, right? Because they are trained for that. And if it has dairy, I might just like say no. Apart from that, I also had this cheese ball and pistachio pudding with peanuts at night. Luckily, it didn't harm me. And honestly, it was an emotional food. And I wouldn't have pistachio desserts. I just don't like them. Um, they tasted too syrupy for me. But it didn't give me any indigestion or any allergies. But at the same time, I want to hunt for desserts which are without dairy or which are not too sweet and sugary and syrupy. Once I find such a dessert, I'm gonna just stick to it. For now, I have realized that tiramisu has dairy. Obviously, I love tiramisu, but that's I don't. I mean, unless I'm okay nose wise and allergies wise, I might have it once in a while. But this pudding is also out, so I'm gonna have to keep a record of all the desserts that I'm having, which are triggering my allergies or my intolerances. Now, apart from this, the other thing which is not working is that I have been craving each night for some food. And there's a show I'm watching called Arrested Development, and we used to watch this show always while eating dinner. I think for many years we have seen reruns many times. So that just reminds me, and also the rice for dinner is like ensuring I get cravings because when you are having refined carbohydrates, now rice, this is brown rice, but in my case, brown rice will also produce cravings for me because it just, I don't know, is the carbohydrate content of that grain is high and it empties faster, the sugar crashes faster, and then I'm just like hungry again. So I have had rice and then the cravings each night, except for Monday night, but it came back yesterday night again. And I I just again had some peanuts and like little bit, not too much, but still all these things add up. And this is the reason why I didn't lose weight. If I stay on my protocol, I lose weight. But if I don't stay on my protocol, I gain weight. Or like in this case, it is not even maintaining, it's gain. So tomorrow, again, tonight maybe, if I have cravings at night, I'm gonna just like remember that I'm tired and I'm sleepy and I can just sleep instead of watching a show, instead of asking my husband or getting up myself to go get some food. I'm just going to sleep and not take any other physical action. another thing that happened was like, okay, there was like an emotional event which happened for me Saturday morning. I got an email. Well, not the email was later, but in the morning when I went for the walk, I went a bit late because I got up a bit late. And I was supposed to clean my house on Saturday morning. So I spent around 2 or 3 hours to just like clean the house. There are certain things my husband does, and there are certain things which I do. And obviously, I don't want to do that. The whole week, I don't want to do that. But I went for a walk, and it was so hot and so humid. And I was really uncomfortable. And there was some weird conversations happening in my thought process. And I had a breakthrough while walking. I was like, oh, this makes sense, and all of that. And then suddenly I slipped into victimhood, and I was like, oh, I came home and I was telling my husband, see, this is why I do what I do, and you never support me. And there it started, and I was crying, and he was like, he's just like looking at me because he was in a good mood. So he was just like, okay, he's not saying we're not fighting, it's just me crying. And I still could like, okay, fine, whatever. And then I took a shower, and it was time to get started with the cleaning. And then I just opened my inbox and I saw an email from one of my business bank accounts about some clarification around taxes. And I froze. I started freaking out. I literally was having a panic attack. I did not know what to do. I was so frozen that I literally went to my husband and I was begging him, like, can you just check with your paid chat GPT for solutions? And he found a solution, and still my brain was like, oh no, something bad is going to happen. And I kept on spinning in that. I didn't clean, obviously, because I was too much emotionally occupied. And then I was going to tell my husband that you guys go ahead and I'll just do the cleaning and I'll figure this out. I don't think I'm in a mental space to come out. But he was like, okay. But my daughter was like, no, mama, you need to come. So I finally went. I was like, maybe the change in scenario might calm my brain. It did a little bit, but then again, I started to pick up fights with my husband, and I was just like, Rashmi, stop fighting. There is something happening here. And in that moment, really, me fighting with my husband was still better than the panic that I was experiencing. So I'm very quick to forgive myself now. Before, every time I fought with my husband, I would have such remorse and such guilt that, you're such a horrible person. Who says this and who does this to her husband? Like, he's such a nice guy, and why do you do this and all of that? But now I'm like, listen, if I'm fighting, it's a very protective thing, but sometimes I fight just so that, because there is panic happening. And this is typical in my family. My family is used to taking all sort of risks. Since my childhood, I've been seeing my mom, dad take a lot of risks. They're doctors and they invest in real estate, and they just are like entrepreneurs, and there's just so much risk. And then they would start freaking out. And when they freak out, they would just like start yelling at each other because they both were together in it. Here, I'm the only one doing what I'm doing. And I can't just like yell at him for that because he's not even part of my business. I just freeze. I do yell and scream on other situations, but in most, like, when it comes to my business, I just freeze and I don't know what to do and how to process these things. Now, normally we will indulge into each other's drama. Like some days he's having a good day, some days I am having a good day, some days we both are having bad days, some days he's having a bad day and I'm having a good day. So it's like that permutation and combination. And we are used to our emotional dramas and we just indulge in it sometimes. But this time I just froze. And then when I came home at night, there was still so much work to be done, physical work, and there was marination needed to be happening and all the things. And I was just like, oh my God, I just wanted to check out again. I saw the cheese balls and I had remaining cheese balls. And then I was like, let's just drink and make this thing stop because I was just like freaking out in my mind. But I did realize that, now Sunday morning is going to come, my husband is going to go, and then I'm going to be stuck with all this work, and it's going to be so disgusting to not have a clean house. So I finally was like, I'm not going to drink. I'm just going to get to work, finish everything. So I kept on working till bedtime, and then I finally went to bed, and then I didn't drink alcohol. So that was like a good thing. So when next time something like this happens where I start spinning, I am just going to take a nap, because that's what actually stopped it. Because the next day after I woke up from my sleep, I was like, oh, nothing has gone wrong. Everything is okay. In fact, I completely forgot about whatever I was spinning on. And I couldn't believe it that it took such a grip on me. So next time that such a thing happens, I'm gonna try to take a nap if possible. Now, if I will try to sleep in this nap, but if I can't sleep, I will just sit in meditation. And sometimes the brain is like spinning so much, I can't even sit in meditation. It just wants to physically get out, like I want to physically move. But I'll give myself whatever time is required. 90 minutes is a good time. If I fall asleep, I will just let myself sleep. But if I have work on other days, like weekdays, I'm just gonna carry on working while the spin is happening. I'm very good at that. As a doctor, I have done that so much. Like, even when there's like such emotional drama, I can manage to get work done. Like, even today, something really bad happened. I found some food item which was left, and there were like bugs on it, and it freaked me out. And I was spinning again a lot over it. But I still could coach my clients. I could still do whatever was required of me to do, everything that was on plan. I'm recording this podcast even when in the morning I was crying, just seeing that. So I know I have the capacity to carry on working even when hell is breaking loose on me, literally. So I have to always decide, like for me, if there is work pending, that is way uncomfortable than the spinning. So generally, I like to plan things and I like to do things as planned and get it done. Because if that's not done, it's gonna like sit on my head and like keep on pestering me. So I'm like, I never cancel appointments. I never, 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 never. I will be there. I'll get work done because that gives me a dopamine hit of like getting things done. Okay. So all those things didn't work. So what will I do differently next time? First of all, when it comes to grocery shoppings, it's gonna happen only once a week, and I'll go with my husband, and that is working already. Once a week. If suppose on weekdays I need something, I might just go and get just that item, or ask or order it online, or ask my husband to order it online so that he doesn't order something else. But suppose if I reach a grocery shop with some friends or something whatnot, then get only one pack, especially on a Friday. Get only one pack of whatever snack and share it with my husband. Now, my intention is to not bring those foods, as I know, like, I don't want to bring many packs because I know I will use those foods to eat emotionally, especially when random negative emotions happen. I would rather feel that emotion than make it go away with food. Am I being restrictive around food? Yes, I am, but that is so much better than suppressing my emotional guidance system. My emotions, not just mine, even yours, they guide us. They tell us where to go, what to do. They're constantly telling us, but we keep on masking them with food. So I don't want to do that. So next Friday, when it's time to order some food, for me, I would have to remember it has to be my usual protocol food: no bread, no dairy, no rice, just meat and veggies. Also, I anytime it's time for having a dessert, I'll have to ask, do they have any non-dairy desserts? And I know there are not many, but I would have to do my research around that. Um, for nighttime cravings, I'm gonna just tell myself, go to sleep because you're tired. You can watch a show if you want to, but you're not gonna eat. No physical action. No getting food myself or telling my husband, just sleep. Next time an emotional event happens that is spinning me or freezing me, I'm just gonna take a nap if possible, as that is what broke the spinning last time. Also, if any negative emotion happens, um, yeah, I think I read this. Now, next week, coming week rather, I am going to still be premenstrual. So I know the cravings are going to be there. So I'm going to have to like keep an eye on that. I am planning to reduce my Canderel as much as possible. I might go for a movie with my daughter. So I will have to remember to not snack on her food. I might go to another new place on a Friday or something. So I have to remember to not snack there. Yeah, I guess that's it. And just remember to take my own sweetener if I want some sweetness, but not use their sugar. So that's it. I'm really hopeful that once my period comes, the weight loss will happen. I mean, that has been the pattern. But this week, there has been no rice. So, and if I don't snack, if I stay on my protocol, I think it should work out. And also, if I do my own coaching work, which is basically do some worksheets around whatever is happening, that might help as well. All right, that's it for today. If you are someone who wishes this sort of guidance, like I can't go as deep as possible around this, but this is just me, right? Like I'm just exposing my brain. Your brain might not be as complex and complicated as me. You might not be able to pick up your emotions and emotional events, and that's okay. Um, but if you are interested in something like this, if it fascinates you the way it fascinates me, consider hiring me as your coach. Come and meet me. Let's chat. Let's meet and explore. Let's see if our energies vibe together. And if I can be part of your well being journey. If that's the case, and if you want someone to guide you into your well being journey, please get in touch with me and let's get started on this fascinating, crazy work. All right, that's it for today. I'll see you next time. Bye.